So it's time to do predictions for the Championship playoffs second leg. Who is going to book their trip to Wembley? Who is going to be one step closer to that dream of being in the Premier League? And who is going to have to suffer the shame of having to play Oxford twice again next season?
Shame!
Well, it looks like one of the ties is done and dusted with the other in the balance. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into this. It's time for those predictions. Starting on Monday in the Steel City with Sheffield United versus Bristol City. Well, it already seems like Chris Wilder's men have more than a foot in this playoff final with a huge win 3-0 at Ashton Gate on Thursday night. And it goes without saying that I thought the Blades were sensational. I think Chris Wilder got his tactics spot on, particularly with playing Kiefer Moore up front. And I thought even while it was 11 versus 11, I thought Sheffield United looked the more dangerous side. Very strange decision for that disallowed goal, I must admit. But I'm also in the camp of thinking that Bristol City were unlucky, not with the penalty, but with the red card for ex-Oxford United's Rob Dickie. So I thought Dickie made an attempt to play the ball, and therefore the double jeopardy rule means that he should have got a yellow card. But I totally accept if you did think it was a red. This one has seemed to have divided opinion amongst the football fan base. But it did also highlight the options that the two managers have at their disposal, with Chris Wilder really having a war chest of players. We already talked about Moore, but Campbell and Brewster I thought played really well off him. The subs made a massive difference when they came on to replace people like Peck, obviously O'Hare getting a goal, and just a really solid, almost back to their best performance from Sheffield United, where they looked solid at the back and good going forward. And it kind of showed you how Manning just doesn't have those sort of players at his disposal that Chris Wilder does. And in many ways, you could say Bristol City, therefore, have punched above their weight this season. Because certainly up front, they seem to be really lacking and really struggling. And whilst they got into good areas, particularly if you've got McCrory and Herikawa providing the width, which hopefully they'll be able to do in this game, they just really struggled to open up Sheffield United. It wouldn't create any clear-cut chances. There was Williams who smashed the bar from range, but obviously he isn't going to be available for the second leg. And also long balls into the box, long throw-ins into the box are very much in vogue at the moment in football, and Bristol City had a real hard time dealing with Sheffield United's physicality from set pieces. The odds don't look good for the Robbins to pull off this comeback, but they got to hope that they can play on the nerves a little bit of the Sheffield United fans who will already think that it's job done and they can turn up and have a bit of a procession. People always think in this situation that the side who's chasing the game have to come out of the blocks really fast, get a goal early and put the home side or the side that's winning on the back foot. It's not necessarily the case like that. Obviously, they will be trying to get an early goal, and if they can get it, great. But if they don't, they shouldn't need to panic, and they shouldn't need to be too gung-ho to leave the door open to Sheffield United. Because if Sheffield United do get a goal, and it really is curtains in this game, they need to be a little bit more cerebral. They need to pick their moments, because they know even if this is 0-0 after 60 minutes and Bristol City get a goal, there will be some nerves amongst the Sheffield United fans, and they can play on that. So it is important for me that Bristol City do try to keep a little bit of composure, a little bit of structure, and not just chase it too gung-ho. But it is really difficult to see them being able to do that. Sheffield United, for me, just seem far too strong of a side and far too good for this Bristol City side. And I think eventually they are going to wear them down. And I think it is going to be a win for the Blades, a very handsome scoreline as they march off to Wembley. I'm going to go for Sheffield United 3, Bristol City 1.
The King of the North!
Moving on to Tuesday's game, we have Sunderland versus Coventry City. Sunderland taking a very slender 2-1 lead into this game after a last gasp winner at the CBS Arena. A real howler of a mistake from Van Elwyk. He's been brilliant this season for Coventry, and unfortunately he's made a real howler to let Mayenda in to score that goal to give the Black Cats a precious victory. And I'm going to start by talking about the Black Cats because I was very sceptical of what we were going to see from them going into this game because they ended the regular season in such poor form, but they were brilliant. Sunderland fans, you should be really proud of your side. Regis Labrie Surprised a few people, including myself, playing that 4-4-2. I don't think many people saw that coming, but I thought you saw a really disciplined, hard-working performance from Sunderland, who knew their job, knew their role, knew they had to rely on counter-attacks, and when they got their opportunities, they took them. Even that last minute tackle on Haji Wright by Bellingham showed the commitment that you had from the Sunderland players right the way through the game. I was delighted to see Isidore getting a goal. I didn't actually realise he'd been on such a barren run. It's good to see him back in the goals. It was a lovely finish, although Wilson in the Coventry goal really should have done better. But it's an intriguing dilemma now of what Sunderland do for this home game. Do they set up pretty much the same? I feel that they probably will do. Being in the league, they know they can just rely on being on the counter-attack, and therefore they're going to give Coventry the ball like they did in this game. And whilst Coventry did what they normally do and tried to get plenty of balls into the box with either through set pieces or an open play, I thought Sunderland dealt with that threat fantastically well. O'Nien and Ballard having wonderful games at the back for Sunderland. But Coventry should not feel like they are out of this tie at all. It was an evenly matched game, and Coventry had their chances. Coventry got into certainly a number of dangerous areas, and they'll just be hoping that they can be more clinical up at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland, it never ever seems to be easy for the Black Cats, so I don't expect this game to be straightforward for them at all. There's still a lot of quality in that Coventry side, certainly going forward. Will Lampard go with Thomas Asante up front, or will he go with Ellis Sims? I feel like he might go with the latter, but you've still got those attacking options from that front three in behind the striker of Sakamoto, Wright and Radoni. Radoni in such good goal-scoring form, getting the goal again in this game. And I just do expect this one to be a really tight and nervy affair. I don't expect this one to have the goals in it that the previous game will. And I think this one's going to go right down to the wire. Ultimately, it could go to extra time, but I don't think it will. I'm not going to predict that. Ultimately, I am going to have the Black Cats prevailing. Just getting over the line. Skin of their teeth, backs to the wall. Huge sigh of relief as that final whistle goes. I'm going to go for a draw in this game of Sunderland 1, Coventry 1, which sees Sunderland go through to Wembley by 3-2. So there we have it, folks. That's my predictions for the second leg of these playoffs. If I'm right, that sets up a very mouth-watering tie of Sheffield United versus Sunderland at Wembley. But let me know your thoughts down below. Good luck to all four sides in there. And if you're a fan of any of those sides, let me know what your thoughts are. Let Coventry fans, Bristol City fans, can you come back in these ties? Sunderland fans, Sheffield United fans, is it job done already? But thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments, give this video a like and hit the subscribe button. But I'll be back to do predictions for the final, so watch this space. And as always, Leonard Nimoy will see us home.
My work is done here.
What do you mean your work is done? You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?